Let me say a special good morning to the Honorable Prime Minister. Let me extend pleasant good morning to all the citizens of our beautiful country, Dominica. Those of you here, and certainly the millions of people who are viewing this broadcast on the World Wide Web. Let me specifically extend on behalf of my company sympathies to all of the Dominicans among us who would have suffered personal loss, to family, and obviously to property, but more broadly to all of Dominica who would have in a very significant way be impacted by the ravages of Hurricane Maria. Our telecommunications company, as you would know, we certainly would have been confronted by similar challenges in the past. Our company, Kingdom Wireless Dominica, we've been operating in this part of the world for over 100 years. And certainly, I think, while Maria arguably may well be the most significant natural disaster that would have confronted us, but I think we would have had multiple disasters and challenges along our very extensive history of being in the region. Let me start by speaking firstly about our people. Like all of you in this room, I'm sure almost 100% of our people at Kingdom Wireless would have been impacted in some way by Hurricane Maria. Some more severely than others, but every single person would have had some sort of impact, including myself. In fact, there's a going joke in Dominica now where people are saying you're not in style if you have your roof. Right? So all of us would have been impacted in some way. But the passion and the resilience of our people and the commitment to serving our people and our country, when I say people, I mean our staff at Kingdom Wireless Dominica, certainly came to the surface again as we had to confront with the recovery effort of bringing some sort of telecommunication services back to our people. We have always said that we have invested significantly in trying to build a significant amount of robustness and resilience into our telecommunications network. And we do it not necessarily because we think it's the nice thing to do, but we do it because we understand that in period of crisis, telecommunication is what people will actually lean on to for some level of comfort, at least in the first instance. And the experiences of Hurricane Maria certainly told us that we were making the right decision. We were able to maintain communication for a very extensive period throughout the hurricane, and we were able to keep a number of our people in touch with their families across the world, at least to bring some level of comfort. I had it myself. I had persons all over the world who, while I was running from one end of the house to the next, trying to stay safe, I had my phone in my hands and people were actually sending text messages and sending prayers and pretty much committing support immediately after the calm. So we know that we are doing service to our people. Just in terms of accountability for our employees, I can say that I've accounted for 100% of our colleague population. Again, it was a bit challenging in the first instance because a number of them would have been locked in the various communities as a result of the blockages of the road network. But yesterday I had the privilege of having a face-to-face meeting with about 80% of the staff population at Kingdom Wireless Dominica. So I know directly that everyone is okay, they're all safe, and like everyone else across the country, they have suffered some level of loss. Our first response was to ensuring that our people were safe and they had the support that they needed, because if we don't take care of our people, it makes it more difficult for them to take care of the rest of us. So immediately we've had 3 boats that actually docked. I received, on behalf of our people and our company, 3 boats with humanitarian support from our sister BUs, more so St. Lucia. We had the first one coming in on Wednesday, the second one on Saturday, and I'm actually receiving one at 12 o'clock today. That will bring the water, the dry goods, and all the essential things that our people need now to give them some level of comfort. And so we do that. 50%, just about 50% of both mapping and cable wireless employees have reported to work. And they have all showed up. They have walked through the rubble, and they're here serving our customers. If you walk across our building now, you'll see a number of them bearing the heat of the generator at the building, pretty much trying to assist customers with top up and charging of the phone. So people are at work, even amidst all the rubble. We have also received on island, and I'm saying that just to give the population some level of comfort that we will bring to bear on this recovery effort in Dominica, resources from across our networks. So far we have 6 additional specialized resources we have received in Dominica now, who are assisting us in the recovery effort. And as we progress, we expect to have another 17 specialized resources we'll bring into the country to assist us in the recovery effort. So we are sparing no effort in ensuring that we have the required support to bring our population back to some level of connectivity in the quickest possible time. In terms of damage assessment, again, we are hindered by the lack of free access to a number of areas in the country, but so far we have covered about 50%, so we have assessed about 50% of our plant across the country. And certainly today we will focus on the West Coast. We want to get connectivity to Portsmouth. We are focused on Ross University. We want to bring some connectivity to the Ross University and the Picard area. And hopefully our expectation is by Friday we should be in a position to do just that. 10% from our initial assessment, as I said, we haven't completed the assessment 100%, but from the preliminary assessment we have done so far, about 10% of our mobile network infrastructure has been completely damaged. And I'm referring specifically to cell sites that have been cut off and broken, and other infrastructure that is completely lost, that will require some level of building from ground up. We have restored, which is part of the good news, we have restored mobile service in Roseau, and that is about 80% restored. So about 80% of all the sites we have serving the Roseau community has been restored, and so that is good. We expect to have 100% restoration of all services around Roseau. And when I say services, the mobile sites serving the entire Roseau and environs to be completed by Friday the 29th. Service restoration in Kinfield is 50% completed, and we expect as we progress over the next 2 days or so, at least certainly before the end of this week, we should get to about 100%. Service is expected to be restored by Friday to the areas of Portsmouth. As I said, Picard, at least 50% of Picard will be recovered by Friday. And Massac as well, we will certainly have going by Friday of this week. In terms of our core fiber infrastructure, and we've always said that at least 80% of our fiber infrastructure is covered underground in secure ducts. And so we are seeking to kind of recover and to mend these areas where we have breaks. The West Coast towards the north is about 70% restored. I know we are up to about St. Joseph. Our fiber connectivity is currently reaching St. Joseph. And over the next couple of days, we expect to pass that area. And when I speak to fiber connectivity, what it will facilitate is the restoration of fixed line services and some broadband services, again, pending the restoration of commercial power in those areas. So while the core will be alive and have the ability to serve, in terms of the final leg and how it connects to the private homes will be dependent on the public grid and maybe other impediments that may well be at the various homes. But once all of that is in place, at least our services will be ready to be delivered to customers in those areas. The West Coast towards the south, assessment is slowed because, again, of the lack of access, but I know the government is working very aggressively in clearing all the roads, and again, we will be side by side. Once the roads are cleared, our men will be there and ready to go in to restore services, at least to do the initial assessment and then get the wheels turning to do assessments. The Northeast assessment is in progress as we speak. The Southeast Coast assessment has not yet started, again, because of the lack of access, but again, we are very optimistic based on the pace we see the government moving PM that we will get to that in the quickest possible time. And the East Coast assessment is already in progress. With respect to mapping television, the core infrastructure has suffered about 90% damage, and we are still not yet fully complete with respect to our total assessment, but we know for a fact, based on what we have done so far, that the core infrastructure of mapping 2K4 would have suffered significant damage. Yeah? But as they say, in every seed of disadvantage, there's a seed of equivalent advantage. We had in motion a very expansive and very detailed redevelopment plan for the mapping network anyway. And so while we were going to phase it, I think we have a perfect opportunity now to advance it in a more robust and expansive manner. And based on the conversations I've had so far with senior people across the company who are pledging significant support, I think at this point, anything that I ask for to assist the people of Dominica PM, I think we'll get it. And so in terms of moving the total remediation of the mapping network, I think we're at that place now where we're going to advance it as part of the rebuilding process. So my point here is we will have better television services than where we started before Hurricane Maria, and we expect that to be moving very quickly right ahead. In terms of business customers, we're moving to restore services. In fact, we have started, and there is some level of connectivity within the financial center now. And government's voice services and the restoration has started, and we expect to have some level of functionality around government in terms of telephone connectivity to central government and the police headquarters by Friday. And that's one of our key objectives. We're working towards ensuring by Friday of this week we should be able to have calls going in and going out of the government headquarters and the police headquarters. Emphasis is also being placed on service restoration to the hospital, but there is significant damage which will cause some delays, but we're focused on it, and unfortunately for us, we had a generator at our MSAN at Goodwill that we would have used to actually power up service that was stolen. But again, as I say, we're not going to dwell too much on that. We will get a new one in, and we will put it in, and we'll get the services restored at the hospital in the quickest possible time. We're also working to get services restored to Clare Harbour. The point is, I think we all have to pause and assess the damage around us. But I think the quicker we move towards rebuilding, I think it is better for all of us, psychologically, and just it will help the human spirit. So we want to get services restored to all our key business institutions as quickly as possible. And we need to, so let us get Rosa up again, let us get services. We expect there will be some level of disruption, but we want to get connectivity to our key customers. And so we're working on Clare Harbour. We are working on Fort Young Hotel. We've been in constant conversation with the management of Fort Young Hotel. We know that we need to, in fact, we have a number of people who want to come into Dominica now, but we're challenged in terms of suitable accommodation, and so we think it is in our best interest if we can get our hotel plant functioning in some way, and so we spare no effort to get some of these businesses up and going. Work has been commenced with hospitality and financial institution, as I said, to get them back up in some way. And so in terms of sales and commercial activity, we are trying our best. We want to get we are aware that persons want to top up their phones. There are persons who want to get a new phone. Some phones would have been flooded as a result of the flood waters, and we're trying our best to do that. Our building was flooded ourselves. Our main generator room was flooded out as a result of the flood waters from the Roseau River. But again, we're trying our best. We have a service entrance, and we're putting tables. We have people standing there, and we're selling as best as we can. So just to give the country, by and large, some level of comfort that we are at work, and it is not business as usual, and our people recognize that, so we're out early and we leave late. We are not about, so there are no normal routines, so to speak. We are doing all we can do to get our people back committed. What I can connect it, on behalf of my company, I stand very, 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 there's an unwavering commitment from me personally. And that commitment, I think, is trickling across our colleague population and our senior executives, that we will work hand in hand with the government of Dominica to get our country back up. We are not leaving. This is where we've been. We've been here from the 1930s. We own infrastructure here. We are part of this community, and I think we have an obligation to help in the rebuilding process. And so, PM, you have my unwavering commitment where that is concerned, and that of my company. Thank you very much.